All right. Good morning, everybody. I don't know why we thought it was a good idea to have our disaster council the day after council meetings. Maybe we'll learn our lesson, but
It shows that we're always ready to go,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly. But it's 10:05 a.m. and so we'll start our disaster council meeting for the regular meeting for Wednesday, October 26, 2022 at 10 a.m. or 10:05 a.m. And so we'll start with a roll call quickly of our appointed disaster council members. So starting with Mayor Sticks,
Here.
Councilmember Wyrick,
Here, maybe last time.
Fire Chief Barry Parker.
Here.
Thank you. Police Chief Rivera told me yesterday that he'd be unable to make it, so we'll coordinate with him. John McNeil. Here. And then Bob. I didn't see Bob Daddy today, so we'll make sure we follow up with Bob. And so with that,
I'll go ahead and text him if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I should have checked on Zoom. I don't see anybody though. Let's see. Actually, there is someone in now. Not Bob. Okay. So with that, we're going to start our meeting with the approval of the agenda. We only have one item on the agenda. It's the starting to discuss the coordination of a disaster drill exercise, which was discussed a lot as part of our disaster guide. And so is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. And then anybody opposed? Hearing none, we'll consider the agenda approved. We will start with public comment. We only have the one action item, so any comments related to that item, we'll ask everybody to keep for that. But is there any public comment on anything off of the agenda today? No? Okay, thank you. And so moving on to the main event, and that is, as we adopted our disaster guide, and we went through that process, we had a lot of stakeholder meetings, and several times throughout the stakeholder process, a lot of people raised the question of when we're going to hold a disaster drill, and a lot of people commented about the need for a disaster drill. We heard from even, council members who had said that during the Thomas fire, it was not clear at times what the expectations were for them. It was, we heard from the public that, they didn't understand how the process was supposed to work. And from other agencies, we heard that it's just good to prepare and coordinate and make sure that with a lot of staff changes at a lot of agencies, that we have the right people talking to the right people still. And so we committed at the last disaster guide discussion that we would, once we adopted the disaster guide, that we would then start working on coordinating a disaster drill that we would work with our partners on. And so the only item on today's agenda really, and we're happy to keep it sweet and short, or we can really dig into it, but the only item on the agenda today was to start talking about what we want to do for a disaster drill. We have some simple suggestions, but disaster drill can take many shapes. It can be anything from a simple tabletop drill, which is what was included in the packet, where we'd essentially get all the partners sitting in a room like this, and we'd work through, okay, what would happen in an emergency? Who would, what would this department do? What would this agency do? We could do a tabletop drill, or it can take a lot of different shapes. It could be more community focused. It can be a variety of different paths. And so we made some recommendations to start the conversation. We're recommending, because we heard that there was a need to do one fairly quickly. We heard that from stakeholders that they wanted to do one sooner rather than later. We were suggesting starting with the tabletop drill. And so this slide here shows kind of the who, what, when, where, why, how of what we're suggesting. The tabletop drill that would include the disaster council, the city council, police chief, fire chief, city EOC team, a county EOC representative, the news, Ojai Valley News and Media Partners, ham radio partners, Red Cross, school district rep, and hospital rep. Those were the group we were thinking of to do this initial drill. For when we recommended setting the time in advance so that we can get all those people coordinated, and so we recommended doing it at the next disaster council meeting, which is, as a reminder, these are quarterly now, so Wednesday, January 25th at 10 a.m. We recommended doing it at our emergency operations center at the police station. Again, trying to just keep people familiar with it. For a long time, people didn't know what it was or where it was, and we're just trying to have some regular meetings and things there to get people used to that idea of that emergency operations center. And then just again, at the bottom, we note that the goal would be just to ensure that the city and the key public safety partners are all prepared for an emergency and coordinated, particularly with those recent changes to different staff from different agencies. And so I'll start with, that was kind of our recommendations if we want to have a simple drill soon. But we wanted to kind of open it up to the council, see if that's appropriate, or see if we have a completely different vision that we want to do something a little different. So with that, I'll open it up to the disaster council. I guess we should do questions first, and then we can take public comment, and then we'll come back. But and so we'll start with that. Yes.
Well, thank you first, always. So thank you so much, James, for doing this. This is amazing. Thank you, Barry, for being here once again. Thank you, Bill, John. Really great step forward. And simple and soon. I'm all for that, 100%, and then go from there. So really grateful to you and to staff for getting this going.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice.
The only thing I would like to add to the mayor's comments, and again, thank you very much, and ditto to that, but I think we might want to put a little meat on the city council representation, because there's the Councilman Haney's brought this up, and it also is alluded to on page 1, using certain members can assist others in their neighborhood or workplace. Maybe we explicitly suggest that council members are free to bring in neighborhood representatives, with this idea of having a granular organizing.
Yeah.
And that's alluded to in here a little bit. And I don't want to overly complicate it by saying we should have some structure for that at this initial stage.
Yeah.
But make it clear that council members, if there's neighborhood coordinator, potential neighborhood coordinators that, I don't know, if we don't want to have a huge number of people, but maybe the council members would be understood they would be free to bring in representatives for the district, so they represent, or the mayor represents the entire city.
Yeah.
To possibly just sort of focus on the implementation, which we want to have granular at the neighborhood level. Just a thought.
That's a good point. I think we always talk about the negatives of the neighborhood, or of the districts. I think as a city, we kind of focus on the fact that we weren't super excited about having districts, but a couple of things recently we realized could actually be some positives we can
Yeah, if we keep them, if the voters want to keep them.
Yeah, if we keep them, and one of the positives would be being able to do some neighborhood
Right.
Oriented projects and some district focused projects. So I think that's true. We included the city council on that slide because I heard loud and clear that the council wants to participate in this drill.
And that would just be the path to that.
So yeah, adding into that making clear to them that they can invite their maybe some key members of their neighborhoods.
Right.
Yeah.
We also have way back the definition of neighborhoods for general plan purposes. That might be used as a guide for if there's differences in how to coordinate CERT by neighborhood characteristics. For example, there might be a very different coordination for, the district I currently represent in the downtown core compared to, let's say, Persimmon Hill. They're very different characteristics.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to overly complicate it or get overly formal, but we might want to invite council members to think about additional people they might want to bring in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Sure.
I think that's a fantastic idea, Bill. Yeah, let's do it. Great. And we've got the districts and we've got the maps. Let's get some giant maps and just go super granular.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Chief Parker, any feedback or thoughts or concerns?
No, I definitely want to commend all of you for having the foresight just to understand how important planning is. So to meet the objective of what is being lined out, we just want to make sure that it's smart, is meaning specific.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that it's measurable. We're looking for attainability. We want it to be realistic. And then, as you mentioned before, that we do it in a timely fashion and soon.
Thank you.
Chief, you've been through these in other venues, planning. Is it considered a good idea or not good idea to kind of have a wild card thrown into the planning session? Throw something in there that, just as part of the training or part of the preparation, just throw something in completely unexpected on a theoretical basis to how do we react to that? Is that something that's done, or?
It seems like that will come naturally.
Okay.
When you bring in a group of people with different ideas and different emotions and opinions, you're going to have the curveball. And so what that's going to require all of us to do is to work together.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to have to overcome those obstacles,
Okay.
Which we'll be able to do. But if we start off with something that is simple and we're successful, it's going to build confidence in our team.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's too complicated and
I see what
we
you're
all
saying,
can't
yeah.
follow it, we get lost, and the meaning behind the drill gets lost in
It kind
frustration.
of happens organically, is what you're saying.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that too, where somebody in the room will just say, well, what if, we get to a point in the drill where we say something like, okay, now we're doing communication and we're doing Facebook posts, and then somebody in the room goes, well, what if Facebook's down? What if the website's down? What if internet's down? And then you kind of have to adjust to it.
I was thinking something like an earthquake, like that starts a fire, but then the earthquake means one of the main water mains breaks and you lose all your hydrants,
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was thinking about herd of wild horses.
that would be a variable for sure.
And if I could just add too, what will help is to have a facilitator.
Okay.
Someone who is in the room and can guide the exercise so that if it does start to wander into left field, can bring the group back onto task.
That's a great
to
idea.
make sure that we can meet the objective.
Maybe you.
Okay. We need
Alright.
facilitating.
Yeah, I do think that's important. That was
And I
one
would,
thought
I would
had,
also
too.
punt over to Chief McNeil for comments too.
No, I agree with everything that's been said. I think it's trying to find that balance with keeping it simple but challenging the players is kind of the target to hit. This is kind of counter to keeping it simple, but I would add a couple stakeholders. If it's going to be as specific as an earthquake, if we're going to define it ahead of time, or if whatever is defined as the problem has utilities involved with it, which most of them do, I would consider SoCal Edison, Casitas Water, and gas company. Just a rep. And because a big part of this, I think if we take away anything from it, it's everyone in the same room, challenged with the same problem, figuring out what their role is on the team and coming together and solving, even if we just solve one thing, I think it's been successful. And I also agree with the point that we phase it, meaning let's keep it simple, get everyone to the table, challenge them. Hopefully everyone comes away with something, and then we end it with, and we're going to do another one. We may even add to the current one a month or two later, whatever the time frame is going to be. But I think if we phase it in, we can get to the point where it actually becomes really fun. You throw the hurdles at the team, and all of a sudden it's like, what? The wild horses? What?
Yeah.
So, so I agree with everything that's been said. I like it simple to start, but I would like to focus in also on the future and phasing in more pieces to it.
Yeah.
And keep it going on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Barry, for that suggestion about a facilitator. And not to put you on the spot, John, would you consider being that facilitator?
Oh, absolutely.
Is
Yeah.
that okay with you, James?
I was planning to ask. I just
Yeah,
wasn't,
no,
I wasn't going to do it on the
No,
spot.
thanks for the suggestion. But I've been through.
Teed it up for us there,
Well, I've been
Chief.
through a few of them, and I know the players with the badges, which is nice. I'd be honored to
Awesome.
take on that role.
Very cool.
Great.
Okay, so I think, let's see if there's any public comment. I guess before we go too far down the path, does anybody have any comment on this item? No? Okay, and we're not super formal, so if something comes up and somebody wants to chime in, but I think with that, yeah, I was going to ask Chief McNeil, but I just didn't. I wasn't going to do it on the spot. So yeah. So, but so I think with that, I think.
Good.
Yeah, I was going to say if we're good with kind of that idea, if I can get direction to work with Chief McNeil and everybody trusts us to kind of coordinate it and work out the details, but I think we do have a sense of kind of the scale that we're going to do at this first one, and we'll come up with the rest of it.
I'm a yes on that.
Okay.
You got it. Thank
Yeah.
you so
All right.
much. Thank you, James.
Cool.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
All right. So hearing no objection, I think that's it.
I love it.
Was that a world record?
I love
We're
it.
actually getting something done. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love
All right,
it.
so we'll prepare for our drill on January 25th, and we'll invite everybody, including everybody here. Sure.
Just add one thing, since we have Chris in the room,
Sure.
how about an update? Because I know I was at one of the recent meetings, and they're kicking off a lot of their projects,
Yeah.
and every one of their projects has an impact to the city, a positive impact
Sure.
to the city. Is there any way we could just get a quick update if he's willing to
For sure.
do that?
Stand here and go to the podium?
You can come to, or if you can come to the podium, because we
on.
are on Channel 10 and.
It's
all
on
that.
Zoom, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Yes, we are launching 4 projects as we speak, and we have one more kickoff session on one of the projects. And as soon as that happens, we start addressing the various groups involved. So we have the core working group, which is ourselves, 2 contractors, and the fire department. And then we have, depending on the project, we have a technical advisory groups, or we have steering groups, or we have direct consultation with people. So working out with the Forest Service now and stuff, how do they want to be involved? Those kinds of things have to be worked out. For the CWPP, we're setting up our dedicated web portal, and that'll hopefully be ready by the beginning of the year. And then we will have community engagement starting in January with a series of workshops, both virtual and in person. And those will be conducted in January or February. The 4 projects are the Ojai Valley CWPP, the Fine Scale Risk Mapping and Digital Dashboard, Wildfire Vulnerability and Evacuation Assessment, and a county-wide Ember Cast Modeling and Mapping Project, which is being funded there. And that'll be approved on next week by the Board of Supervisors. So hopefully that'll all move forward. So these are slated for 16 months. They all work together. We're hoping to get the fine scale mapping and the vulnerability assessment done in 12 months, which is a real compressed schedule, because all of that feeds into the CWPP. So we need to get those completed before we can do a final draft of the CWPP. The city obviously is going to be involved in that, and I'll be in touch with James about how you guys wanted to be involved on either the technical advisory group or steering group or direct consultation. We'll have that discussion, James, about how we want to do that. So those are being launched. It's very exciting. It's been a long haul to get to this point. So with the delay of funding and delay in contractor availability, we're finally moving. But this will be the first ever CWPP for the Ojai Valley. And to understand our planning area too, it's actually about 300 square miles, so it's actually a large area. So we extend from Upper Ojai down all through the valley, up 33, and down the Ventura River watershed. So we're covering quite a ground. It varies based on what we're doing. Actually, in the evacuation assessment, we're actually looking at the 126 corridor as well. So that will involve actually behavioral modeling and transportation modeling. So they're pretty extensive. Got a significant budget to do this. Not much for the Fire Safe Council, but a lot for other people. So we're excited about it. It's been a long haul to get to this point. So those are underway, and that's our update. The other thing is that we do have another round of CAL FIRE coming up. We'll be resubmitting our substantial grazing program grant. So the team met yesterday to talk about how we're going to update that and put it in. That's a significant thing. We believe we have an excellent chance of getting it if we don't have the same technical mishap that we had with CAL FIRE the first round. So in any event, that's what's happening, and we'll be making regular updates to the city on these projects because they all going concurrently, but obviously the city manager will be involved on a more frequent basis as we move forward. So that is the update. So thank you.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. All right, and with that, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.